Hello everyone and welcome to Football Manager 2019 Team Guide. Today is the turn of Bournemouth, a cash-strapped club in the Premier League with the smallest Premier League stadium, but surprisingly they finished 12th in the last season under Eddie Howe, and I think he's done a fantastic job at the club. So let's get straight into today's team guide, shall we? Now, Bournemouth, considering their struggles in terms of their finances, they have got some very good players. If you look at the reports of these players, they've got the likes of Nathan Ake, former Chelsea player, Callum Wilson, who's been impressive in the Premier League for a number of years now with Bournemouth, a decent amount of goals. Jefferson Lerma, who has joined the club this year for 27 million, which shows that actually they're not that cash-strapped. Joshua King, Harry Arter, Steve Cook and Adam Smith. And the likes of Jermaine Defoe, bit of experience in the squad, who is a very worthwhile signing for the moves. He signed a few years ago from Sunderland, and I think be a very good signing. He signed for free, and I think this year he can continue that. And of course, he goes back to Bournemouth, where he actually was in 2001, which is a bit scary because I was only born in 2001. But nonetheless, let's get into today's team guide. Now, Bournemouth are a very good team. You know, they've done well in the Premier League for a number of years now. They had their record finish the season before last in 9th. But 12 players, considering they had got quite a poor start, is very good as well. And if you notice the Premier League this year, they've had a very good start again. But if we look at their dynamics first off, they've got 3 team leaders: Simon Francis, Andrew Sermon and Steve Cook. Now, the problem with that one is, for me, is that none of these players are particularly key players. Simon Francis is approaching the end of his career at the age of 33. Andrew Sermon's a decent player, but again, not fantastic. And Steve Cook is possibly an important player, but I guess they're all squad players, the team leaders, but are they going to be the players that you go, you know, these are the brilliant players coming through? Possibly not, but they might be the players with the biggest leadership stats, so actually there's a good spread of team leaders there. But just obviously bear in mind that Simon Francis is approaching the end of his career, but if he retires, then they should be able to cope with just 2 in the team. But highly influential players, no surprise that the likes of Defoe, Boruc, Pugh and Charlie Daniels are in there. If you look at the social groups, quite a big core social group. Only 4 players outside of that social group, and yeah, it looks like a pretty good dynamic dressing room atmosphere, and that looks pretty good to me. Next, on to the tactic for Bournemouth. We've gone with a 4-2-4, or technically a 4-2-2. And we're going with a direct counter-attacking tactic, and this looks very good to me. We've got Begovic in goal, with Adam Smith, Steve Cook, Nathan Ake and Daniels at the back. We've got Lewis Cook and Lerma in the midfield, the new signing. Ryan Fraser and Jordan Ibe on the wings, with Joshua King and Callum Wilson up front. That looks like a very strong attack. You can also put Jermaine Defoe in there. He could probably play as an advanced forward as well, but possibly Callum Wilson. There's a lot of eventualities you can play him in: deep line forward, advanced forward, poacher, complete forward and a pressing forward. And I think probably a complete forward or a pressing forward would be good. We don't really want 2 advanced forwards because, as the name suggests, they might be a bit too advanced. But Lys Mousset, another player, I think he's a striker. Yep, you've got plenty of depth in the striking position. And you've got likes of Junior Stanislas, Andrew Sermon, as we mentioned earlier. And David Brooks, never heard of him, 21-year-old Welshman who's also joined this season. We will have a look at the new signings in just a second. But there is plenty of depth for this squad. We've got a few players out on loan as well, which we'll actually have a look at now. So Bournemouth have bought 3 new players, and we talked about David Brooks and Lerma, but we'll talk about them in a little more detail now. So David Brooks came in from Sheffield United for £10 million. He's a right winger and right midfielder. He had a good season for Sheffield United last year. Manchester City youth player, it looks like. And he looks like a decent player. He's got some decent pace stats, vision, technique, passing, etc, etc. And those slowly improve. You know, he's still only 21 and his potential ability looks very exciting for Bournemouth. So definitely a good signing made by Eddie Howe there. Diego Rico is coming from Leganes in the Spanish La Liga for 10.75 million. He's a left back. Who's he coming to replace? If there's, well, you've got Charlie Daniels, Tyrone Mings and Diego Rico. Possibly he's a player for the future. I don't really know. He's 25 years old though, so he's not a spring chicken anymore. But we've got Charlie Daniels in there. He's 31, and possibly, who's the other one? We've got, where is he now? I'm trying to find him. I think it is Tyrone Mings, who's a little bit younger, so a bit of a weird signing is Diego Rico. And I think that possibly, if obviously Charlie Daniels is a bit older, he won't be too discouraged if he doesn't get as many games. But one of these players, either Rico or Mings, will be getting very agitated if you don't play them. So I'd suggest that you get them in the squad. And to be fair, Rico's got a high work rate, high pace, stamina, so he looks like a good player. Let's compare him to Tyrone Mings. Quite similar players actually, but Mings looks a little bit better on the defensive front, speed, vision and technical. But I guess that Rico, is he a much more well-rounded player? I'm not really sure. He beats Tyrone Mings on an attacking basis, but I'd say Tyrone Mings is probably the better player. So not the best of signings there for your FM save. They've also brought in Jefferson Lerma from, where have they brought him on from? Levante, again in La Liga. He's 27 million, a centre midfielder. He's got some good stats, and again, he can go in there, as shown here, as a box-to-box midfielder, alongside Lewis Cook. But then you can always bring the likes of Andrew Sermon in. Who else have we got? We've got him and who's out on loan. We've got Dan Gosling. There's not really actually a hell of a lot of depth in that position, but you've got players who can pretty much play the same role, so that looks all good for me. Next, on to the transfers you can make for the club. Now, just bear in mind that Bournemouth are very much strapped for cash. Only 3.6 million left in the kitty. But let's have a look at the shortlist and the players I have brought in. There's only one player on this shortlist, and his name is Ollie Watkins. Now, he's linked to the club in real life, and I thought he'd be very good. He looks quite versatile on the right and the left. Possibly you might be able to bring him in, but again, he's obviously quite a bit more in his value compared to what the club can afford. But one player I've been looking at on all of the team guides, and one that would definitely suit Bournemouth, is Danny Drinkwaters. Now, amazingly, he's transfer listed for an asking price of only £4 million. A very good player, lots of Premier League experience with Leicester, a few games for Manchester United as well, and Chelsea. So why not bring him in? £4 million, a very much no-risk signing, proven signing, and he'd actually fit in with that midfield. I think there's 4 players in that midfield who can play 4 or 5, but he'd certainly add to that, so I think it's more than worth it. Next, we'll go on to training. Let's have a look at some of the reports of the players. We look at the mental attributes of players, not teamwork, work rate. The players look pretty good. There's a few players like Jordan Ibe and Lewis Cook who possibly don't pull their weight, but their determination looks pretty good, apart from Ibe actually. But looks like a pretty determined squad with some decent work rate, and that looks pretty good for me. So, yeah, we've got an interesting Bournemouth here. You know, you could go anywhere with Bournemouth. I feel like Bournemouth are one in Football Manager that can possibly, you know, win the league and go up to 4th and get Champions League football and possibly win the leagues I've just said. But at the same time, if it's not managed correctly, they can go very much down the nick very quickly. But they've got some good players, like Asmir Begovic in the net. A solid player once again. They've really strengthened of Bournemouth in the last few years. Proven by they've spent quite a bit of money this summer. I mean, you've got a lot of players that are above the 10 million mark now in terms of their worth. I'm not quite sure at Dan Gosling being up there. But there's a few English talents as well as a few foreign talents and experienced names in the squad. But that's going to be it, folks, for today's team guide. I hope you guys have enjoyed and found it effective in terms of the squad, incoming transfers, dynamics and tactics. But if you've got any other suggestions, feel free to leave them down in the comments. But until the next time, guys, thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys later. Goodbye.